Howdy-hoo, all my stock market gamblers. I'm Tall Mike. Welcome today. It's April 12th, Monday. The markets are open. The markets are actually down today. 75 points on the Dow. We're down 75 points. We just hit a new record high on Friday. By the end of the day, we'll probably be up to another new record high. I don't know for sure, but there is no threat to this market. No real threat is out there. The only threat would be if the Federal Reserve decided to stop printing money. And we know they're not going to stop printing money. They're going to print money from here to eternity. Look, we've already done $2 trillion for the stimulus package. There's another $4 trillion coming for the infrastructure package. We're just going to print money, print money, print money. Now, what is printing money? It's increasing the debt of the United States. Now, I always knew that, you cannot print your way out of debt. You can't borrow your way out of debt. The only way to get out of debt is to spend less and produce more. But the United States, no, we're not going that route. Don't get crazy on me now. We're going the inflation route. We're going to inflate our way out of this debt. Now everybody's talking about inflation, and the Fed will tell you, well, there's no inflation. We're going to run it at 2%. Well, maybe they want to run it at 2%. But here, let's talk about the PPI. Now, there's what's called the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, but there's also the PPI, the Producer Price Index. And this kind of precedes the Consumer Price Index. Because if the producers have to pay more for their resources to produce the products, your price as a consumer is going to start to go up. Now, the PPI is already, for the first quarter, running about 2.5%. 2.5% already just for one quarter. Now, multiply that out by 4 quarters, we're really at 10% inflation. And that's just what they're admitting to. 10% inflation? This is what's called the inflation tax. Inflation is really theft. Now, Biden will tell you he's not going to increase taxes on anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. Well, I got news for you. Inflation is a tax. And when they inflate the money supply, which just in 2020, they inflated it by 25%. 25%. That is a tax of 25% on you and on me. Now, this is a tax that affects poor people way more than it affects rich people. Now, inflation for rich people, they own the assets. They own the assets. They got all the stocks, all the bonds. They got the assets. They got the houses. They got real estate. They got gold, silver, Bitcoin. They own the assets. It's a boondoggle for them. They make money hand over fist. It increases their wealth. Now, what does it do to poor people? What does it do to the people that do not own the assets? When they go to the grocery store, they can't afford to buy food. When they go to the gas station, they got to pay $5 a gallon for gas. They don't have that kind of money. Inflation tax hurts the poor people. But don't worry, Biden's only going to tax those rich people. He's destroying the poor people, destroying the middle class. Biden, stop printing money. Stop printing money right now. No, they're not going to stop. They can't stop. We're too far in debt. We stop printing money, it all comes down. All those assets come down. Now, when you stop printing money, who gets hurt? Rich people get hurt, the people with the assets, right? Poor person doesn't get hurt. He doesn't have anything. Okay, so what we got here is the inflation tax. And it's going to destroy this country. It's going to bring the country down. Now look at 2%. You say, Mike, 2%, we're running at 2%. Yeah, on the Consumer Price Index, that's what they say. That's what they're reporting. But they don't report housing in it, the cost of rent. That's not in there. Food's not in there. Gas isn't in there. All the stuff that you use, it's not in there. That's how they get it down to 2%. We all know, we can tell that inflation's over 10%. The Producer Price Index, it's running over 10%, and that's what they're admitting to. They're admitting that it's over 10%. But what happens when hyperinflation comes? Now, a lot of people, worry that there's going to be hyperinflation. Hyperinflation destroys the country. Country does not recover from hyperinflation. Now, what is hyperinflation? Hyperinflation is like when inflation is running 25 to 50% a year. 25 to 50% a year. It's like, okay, right now you're paying $5 for gas. Next year you pay $7.50. The year after that you pay $12. This is what hyperinflation is. And it destroys the country. It destroys the country. The country doesn't recover from this. Now you'll notice used car prices, for example. Used car prices. They went up 5% last month. Just last month, up 5%. Now why? Why in the world would used cars be going up at a clip of 5% a month? Well, I'll tell you why. They get the stimulus checks going out. Okay? People are not paying their rent. They're not paying their mortgage. What are they doing? They're going and buying new cars. You know why they're buying new cars? Because they may end up living in their car when they're required to pay rent, when they're required to pay their mortgage. Now, in the U.S., there has never been a time in the U.S. where so few people own so much of the wealth at the expense of so many. Look at the people that get hurt with this inflation tax. It's theft. It's stealing your money. It's the poor people. Who gets rich? Those few people that have the most assets. The Warren Buffetts of the world. The Jeff Bezos of the world. They become wealthier beyond anything you could imagine. I mean, hundreds of billions of dollars flow in their direction. And it's a boondoggle for them. I mean, they just get richer. Keep printing the money, and you're going to get poor people. You're going to get homeless people. You're going to get a jump up in crime. Crime is going to go way up. When people can't eat, what do? They steal the money from the rich so they can go buy food. People have to eat, right? Look at the wages. Wages are going to start to go up too. I'll tell you why. Now, they don't go up as fast as the hyperinflation. No, not even close. But wages are going to go up. The people cannot get people to work. Why? Why can't they get people to work? Because the government pays people to stay at home and not work. They pay them an extra $300 a week on top of, that's called whatever they get for unemployment, $400 a week. So they get more money to sit at home, watch TV, play video games than to go into work. I don't blame the people for not going into work. Government's stupid. I blame our government. They're stupid. They're stupid for paying the people not to work. What a bad idea. I don't know. I don't think that's a good idea. Maybe you have a different view on that. I do not think that's a good idea. I do not think printing your way to prosperity is a good idea because it's never worked. It's destroyed every country that's ever tried it. Look at the Federal Reserve is public enemy number one. They're going to continue to print money to increase their balance sheet. They're buying everything. They're buying mortgages. They're buying bonds. They're even buying stocks, and they're buying debt of corporations like Apple and Amazon. They own their debt on their balance sheet. Look at, go audit the Fed. Go audit. See what they're buying. It's incredible. It's incredible. We're going to become like Venezuela, like Zimbabwe. Look, inflation is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Homeless people's going to increase. Crime's going to increase. It's going to destroy the country. We cannot borrow our way out of debt. Now, the government wants to inflate their way out of debt. We already got $28 trillion in debt, and we're going to hit 30 trillion this year. This year we're going to blow right through it. $30 trillion. But that's not all that we're. Look at. Here's what nobody talks about. Nobody talks about because they love the Fed. You can see Jerome Powell. He's the head of the Fed. He goes in front of Congress and they all kiss his butt. That's right. They kiss his butt. They thank you, Jerome. Thank you. You're saving our country by all this stimulus you're printing, by buying everything. No, Jerome, you're not saving the country. You're destroying it. You are public enemy number one. Look at Jerome. You got price distortions. The prices of houses should not be multi-millions of dollars. People can't afford it. You priced out the public. The stock market should not be at a record high. It should reflect what the real economy is doing. Real economy is collapsing, Jerome. Stop printing money. Now, here's what nobody talks about. The Federal Reserve, they've increased their balance sheet 100% last year, and they're going to increase it another 100% this year. Well, what does that mean, Mike, when you say increase their balance sheet. They're buying everything. Look at their mortgages. You go get a mortgage in the bank. Who's going to buy that from the bank? The Federal Reserve. That's the reason mortgages are cheap. That's the reason there's price distortion. That's the reason houses are at record highs. It's destroying our country. Same thing with the stock market. It's at record high, record high. It's at record high because it's called malinvestment. There's many stocks, many companies that should be out of business because they cannot even pay their own debt. They have to borrow from Jerome. They have to borrow from the Federal Reserve just so they can pay their debt. These companies have a bad business model. They should be out of business and put that money to work where it's needed, where it's useful, where it's productive. These zombie companies, is all they do is go to Jerome Powell and say, hey, give us more money so we can pay off our current debt with more debt. You cannot pay off your debt with debt and be productive. This is bad investing, and it's hurting our country, and it's time. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. Federal Reserve is public enemy number one. Look at George Gammon. You're my hero, George, if you listen to this. You are my hero. Suing the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is no part of our government. They're no more federal than Federal Expresses. And George Gammon is suing them because he's suing them so that we can audit them. They have never been audited. They refuse to be audited, and they just will not be audited. George Gammon, I contributed to it, and I believe in it. Sue the Federal Reserve, public enemy number one. Sorry about the rant today, but we got inflation going on out there. It's theft. They're stealing your money. They're stealing my money. It's a tax. Biden's not taxing the people over $400,000 a year. No, he's taxing the poor. He's taxing the middle class, and he's doing it by printing money with inflation. I'm Tall Mike. I got a little carried away today. If you like this stuff, give me the thumbs up. If you really like it, hit that subscribe button. We'll talk again later in the week. Have a great Monday, everybody. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye now.